Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for the first day of the Atlantic hurricane season, June 1st, 2016. Let's start off with looking at the points of origin during the first 10 days of the season. A few areas here in the Atlantic Basin, as you can see, clustered around Central America, parts of Cuba, the Bahamas, Florida, Gulf of Mexico, etc. The point is we don't have anything during this first 10-day time frame over the course of history that has formed out in the open Atlantic. So no big hurricanes from the deep tropics during this time of year typically. The Eastern Pacific a little bit busier overall, and we're not going to stray far from that this time because there's something trying to develop out this way, which I'll show you here momentarily. First of all, off the coast of the Carolinas, we still have the leftovers of Bonnie, still just remnants here. Post-tropical cyclone, this is a visible satellite animation. And as you can tell, it's loosely organized. We have some outflow boundaries coming out, which is air moving away from the thunderstorms as they collapse. And that's not a good sign for development. You need the air to come together, what we call convergence in the low levels. And then it needs to rise and spread out evenly and all these other good things that get a hurricane going. Well, lucky for us, along the Carolina coast here, that is not happening. And it doesn't look like that'll happen anytime soon. Meanwhile, out in the Pacific, this is the area of interest, 91E. 91, they number these things 90 through 99 when they are in the investigative stage, I guess you could say, when it's an area of interest. And then the E simply means Eastern Pacific. So if it was in the Central Pacific, it would get a C. And if it was in the Western Pacific, it would get a W. And, of course, if they are in the Atlantic, we call them 90 through 99L, for example. So the next one in the Atlantic will be 92L, I do believe. All right, so this is 91E in the Eastern Pacific. 60% chance of development today, 90% chance over the next 5 days. The good news is, as well as this looks organized, and it looks like it will try to curl up within this lower pressure environment around it, but it's going to more than likely move on off to the west and west-northwest with time something like this over the next few days. And of course, here's the Baja, here's Mexico, and interesting feature here with the stable air coming down out of the North Pacific, encroaching into some of this warmer water. Interesting features on the visible satellite shot this afternoon. But nevertheless, this system, even if it goes on to become a hurricane, and if it does, tropical storm and hurricane, it would be called Agatha, by the way. And it's going to move on off to the west-northwest and not be a problem for Mexico. Meanwhile, in about 5 days, the Hurricane Center is saying 20% chance that something might try to develop in the way of a broad low-pressure area over the southern Gulf of Mexico with a track that might bring it up towards Florida, somewhere in this vicinity. We will watch that. If we look at the wind shear map right now, westerly winds across the deep tropics, trophiness just off the east coast of the United States. A little bit of a ridge here over the subtropical Atlantic, but upper level winds this time of year typically not favorable. That's why this map only has a handful of dots of storms that have formed over the past 100+ years. This will obviously start to fill in with each 10-day time frame that we go through, peaking in September. Now, looking at the GFS, this is what the model output looks like at 120 hours. You see that right there. Hurricane Center mentioning that within 5 days a broad low pressure area might form. Well, here's what it looks like at the 5,000 foot level in the GFS model, the global forecast system. And if you follow these wind barbs, yes, there is broad turning low pressure area with energy. That's what these different colors represent. Energy or vorticity in the atmosphere, and different amounts of that. Going into the details of the model are not important at this juncture. What I'm looking for, and I don't see it, is an area that's solid yellow, filled in, I guess you would say, with deeper colors around it. A ball, like a ball of energy, and really the only thing resembling that at all would be right here. It's very small. Otherwise, it's just a large envelope of energy sitting in here. And that means, at least for now, we don't see much evidence of anything strong trying to develop. That can change, certainly, but so far, the global models are not showing a substantial wind maker. This could bring a lot of rain for portions of the Sunshine State, so that's something to keep an eye on. It's still several days away, and nothing to worry about at this juncture, but certainly something we will watch. All right? So as long as there's something active to talk about, I'll be producing these video discussions for Hurricane Pro and HD on a daily basis. And when things calm down again, these will be produced roughly every Monday, once a week, until there's something to talk about again. So look for that in Hurricane Pro and HD throughout the rest of the hurricane season ahead. All right? Otherwise, have a good rest of your Wednesday afternoon. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. That's my website. Check it out sometime if you haven't already. And, of course, proud to be able to do these videos for Hurricane Pro and HD. Always hope you learned something. And with that being said, I'll talk to you again tomorrow.